Everyone, it's your boy Modern Speed, bring you another video, and look at that. The Raptors got swept by the Cleveland Cavaliers. Um, what to say? Well, I guess I'll say this. I wasn't expecting the Raptors to get swept. If you watch my other video, my prediction video for the second round, I was expecting the Raptors to win at least 2 games. I knew the Cavs would win, but I was expecting them to win at least 2. But, after that first game, you could see the difference between a team like the Toronto Raptors and a team like the Cavs. The Cavs are hungry, the Cavs are motivated, and they want another ring. And you could see in that first game that the Cavs just wanted it more than the Toronto Raptors, and they got it done. They got it done, and they got the sweep. Just looking at their play and looking throughout this series, you could just tell that the Cavs were on point. Their plays were on point. Players were where they needed to be. When they needed a big shot, they got the big shot. The execution was there. It just seemed like everything was going perfectly for this team. And when you're looking at the Toronto Raptors, they were trying to beat the Cavs, but not trying to be themselves. And I guess that's what the difference is. The Cavs were being themselves. They were just playing at a higher level. The Raptors were trying to beat the Cavs, and they were pushing themselves to beat the Cavs, but they weren't playing their style anymore. If that makes any sense. It was kind of like you were watching. So I'm playing outside of the realm of possibilities. The Cavs were having the Raptors play out of their comfort zone. Now, don't get me wrong, it hurt that the Raptors did not have Lowry for those final 2 games, with him being out with that ankle injury. But you know what? Even still, I was still expecting a bit more from the Toronto Raptors. So the question right now is, where do the Raptors go from here? And I want to discuss all that in a different video, but there are, in more depth in another video, but there are a lot of questions to ask here. This series loss actually means it's probably a greater loss than just losing the series, because it may initiate huge changes for the Raptors right here. Probably one of the bigger things to look at is, will Lowry be back? And we got to look at that from 2 angles. We got to look at this from Lowry's angle. Lowry's near the end of his career. Lowry's about 32 years old right now, 31, I believe. Does he want to stay with a team that potentially will never beat the Cavs, that are not at this level? Or does he want to continue doing this and be like, what? We're almost there. We just got to find some way to get to that next level. Does he stay? That's from Lowry's angle. But from the Raptors angle, do you want Lowry to come back? If he opts out, do you want to sign back Lowry? As I said before, he's at the tail end of his career. How many more years are you going to have of Lowry? Do you go into a rebuild mode? What do you do at this point? You go in kind of like a mini rebuild mode, kind of like what Atlanta did, where you kind of trade some of your best players, and then hopefully some of your younger guys step their game up, and you're still kind of within that grasp of contending. That's one question. The second question I think that the Raptors are going to have to ask themselves is, do you keep JV and Carroll, or do you trade them? The fact of the matter is, the impact they've had on this team is not what the Raptors need. They don't fit this system. In terms of Carroll, it's just been injuries, and he just hasn't been able to stay healthy, and he hasn't been the same player he was when he was playing in Atlanta. And JV, he just doesn't fit this system. JV doesn't get enough touches, and defensively, he's a liability. And because of those 2 things, it looks bad on him. But the fact of the matter is, it's just because he's not being used correctly. So the question right now is, do the Raptors keep those guys? Thirdly, do the Raptors sign back Patrick Patterson? Do they look to sign back PJ Tucker? And do they look to sign back Serge Ibaka? Now, no, there's no guarantee that these guys sign back. These guys are going to be unrestricted free agents. They can go over wherever they want. But, do the Raptors look to re-sign these guys? Serge Ibaka might be a great addition to the front court, because the Raptors haven't had a solid 4 since getting Serge Ibaka. And especially with small ball, you can always run Serge at the 5, and we saw the Raptors do that. PJ Tucker, being a veteran, he was great on defense, and the Raptors need that grit. They needed that grind, and he really helped out near the end of the season. So, honestly speaking, right now, just this video, I think signing back PJ and Serge would be a great idea. Now, Patrick Patterson's kind of interesting because, I know a lot of people feel that Patrick Patterson hasn't been giving the production that he has in the past, but, I like what he provides on the defensive end as well as from a rebounding standpoint as well. Definitely in the regular season, his offense has definitely taken a dip the past couple seasons, but, I like what he provides from a non-statistical standpoint. It'd be interesting to see if they sign him back. I would like to see Patrick Patterson come back, to be honest, but we'll see what ends up happening. And I think lastly, and this is the one thing that the Raptors really need to look into is, do the Raptors continue with Casey? And the reason I say this is because there's a lot of issues with Casey. And I think, I don't want to go in major details. I want to do this in another video, but I think the one thing that we got to look into is Casey as head coach over the past 2 seasons is 2-8 against the Cavs. And when you look at how the Cavs have played the Raptors over the past 2 seasons in the playoffs, they've been outplayed and pretty much the Cavs have dominated. It hasn't even really been close. It's been the Cavs have dominated this series. So the fact of the matter is, do you want to continue with this coach that hasn't really provided the Raptors an opportunity to really compete and hasn't been able to adjust his game to compete with the Cavs? Look, the Raptors ended off as the 3rd seed in the Eastern Conference, and looking at this series, you wouldn't think that the Raptors were the 3rd seed. You really wouldn't. You would really think that the Raptors were a lower seed versus this Cavaliers team. Something has to change there, and I think it does have to change with the head coach. So that's another question. Will the Raptors, get rid of Casey, or will they continue? Again, from a regular season standpoint, the Raptors have improved every season. So you could look at it from that end. It's going to be interesting to see what the Raptors do. Definitely go over more details in another video. I definitely want to go over my thoughts on this, but I kind of want to process this for a bit. But anyways, let me know what you think. What do you think about this series? What do you think about the questions that I've just posed? What do you think the Raptors will do? Again, I will provide my answers to these questions in a later video, but again, I want to start a conversation, so leave what you think is going to happen down below. Anyways, it's your boy Modern Speed signing out. The Raptors are out, but you're still going to see some basketball content from me. But I'm out. Later, everyone.